Hey eBay sellers, it's Suzanne and welcome to my course on selling used eyeglasses on eBay. I have been selling on eBay since 2003, and most of that time I didn't even realize this was a niche to sell in. So I've been wanting to learn about this for a long time and took some time this year in 2019 to really dig in and figure out this niche so that I can share this information with you. And if you're interested, you can start selling these items. So the first question is, why would you sell used eyeglasses on eBay? And first, let me give you a very personal backstory. And this is probably the most personal thing I've ever shared online. But it makes sense as to why this niche interests me. So, this is me back in the second grade, and you can see that I'm wearing glasses. I'm one of only two kids in the whole class that wore glasses, and this was 1973. And back then, most kids didn't wear glasses. It just wasn't the market it is now. So I always felt like kind of a freak because, oh, four eyes, Suzanne, and, you know, just little kids didn't wear glasses like they do today. So it was always like a very personal thing for me that I had to wear glasses. So when I was 6 years old, I was diagnosed with a condition. It was a type of amblyopia, which most people think that is wandering eyes, but this is a different kind. Basically, it's a severe difference in how each eye sees. One eye is very nearsighted, the other is very farsighted, and the brain just picks one. So the eye that you're not using pretty much just goes blind. And that's my situation. Is by the time they figured this out, when I went through my screening for first grade, when they check your vision and your hearing and all that stuff, they found this. So it was too late to do anything about it. If you find this in children young enough, you can put a patch over the good eye and let the weaker eye develop. But by then it was too late for me. So surgery cannot correct this issue because it is an interpretation issue of the brain. It's not a muscular or anatomical problem. So, obviously, if I start getting the wandering eye, I would have surgery to correct that. But it's like too bad, too late, you missed it. You're blind in one eye, and that's the way it's going to be. So, I had to wear glasses to protect that good eye so that nothing would get in it, nothing would damage it, because if that good eye was injured or harmed, I would be completely blind. So, of course, my parents freaked out about it. They were always so worried that something was going to happen to me. And, if I'd forget my glasses in the morning getting on the school bus, my mother would come running down the street waving them, don't forget your glasses. And it was this whole big thing. So, but for me, it's just, I got along just fine with one eye and it wasn't a big deal. Got my driver's license just fine. I was a competitive gymnast. They're like, oh, how could you stay on the beam? You only have one eye. But it's what I got used to. So I said all that to say that glasses have been a part of my life since I was very young. And I know firsthand that eyeglasses are expensive and have to be updated and replaced regularly. I do my annual visit to the eye doctor every year. I've never missed a single time in my life because I only have one eye that I'm dealing with, so I have to take care of that other one. So, most kids didn't have to go through this going to the eye doctor so much and making sure, after a while I did sort of need a prescription in the one eye. But so eyeglasses have been in my world for my entire life. And then when I realized that people buy used eyeglasses on eBay, I became very interested in learning how to resell them because I already had some knowledge about how all that works. People who have never worn glasses aren't as comfortable in that niche because they don't already know about it. So that's one reason I wanted to get into learning about this. So that's my backstory and my, how I can relate to this situation story. So why do buyers want them? Buyers purchase these for the frames, not the prescription. So when you're out there sourcing and looking for these, it does not matter what the prescription is. You don't have to know the prescription. It doesn't matter if they're bifocals or progressives or really super old and vintage and scratched up lenses. None of that matters because people buy them for the frames. So that was the first thing, because when I heard about this, I thought, well, how could you possibly know what the prescription is so that the person buying them will be able to see through them correctly? And so none of that matters. The frames are definitely cheaper than new. And what's happening is that buyers tend to replace their favorite frames that broke or were lost. And if you are an eyeglass wearer, either since you were a kid or, as your vision changed when you got older, you have probably had some of these situations where your dog chewed them up. That happened to my mom all the time. I'm like, well, then don't put them where the dog can get them. But apparently that was her dog's favorite thing to do, was chew up her glasses. Or you sat on them either in the car or anywhere else. I ruin sunglasses like that all the time. But or the lens could just fall out. That's a problem. That could be a quick fix, but sometimes it's just better to get a new pair. The nose pads can come off if you've got the wire or titanium glasses, or they just get gross and you want to, change them. Or, any other situation. My brother was at the lake one time and his glasses just fell in the lake, so that was the end of that. All kind of things that can happen. So if you are an eyeglass wearer, a few spare pairs would be nice, and if they're cheap enough to get on eBay, then why not? Also, glasses these days are a fashion accessory, not just vision correction. I go back to wearing eyeglasses as a kid. I had one pair because, you didn't have a whole bunch of pairs of glasses like you do now, because maybe you've got them in different colors, especially women that see eyeglasses as fashion, not just vision correction. And then you've got the vintage looks. People really like the authentic vintage frames, which if you go to an estate sale and the person was an eyeglass wearer, then you can really rack up on those there. Also, they're used for costumes, theater, props, and there's a lot of that going on eBay in the clothing, shoes, all kinds of items just for the look of it, not necessarily to wear them. Now, if we look at this from the seller's side of it, reasons to sell them is they can be high profit. As a matter of fact, this was very timely. I sold a pair of Ray-Ban men's eyeglasses, not the sunglasses, but eyeglasses this morning. I sold them for $40. The guy wanted them overnight, which I don't know what that's about, but I paid $2 for them and they sold for 40, and I only had them listed for 2 days. So depending on the brand, they can sell pretty quickly. Some do take a little while, but they are usually high profit if you choose correctly. I also love that they are small and easy to store. All of mine are in a Rubbermaid plastic tub. Hardly takes up any room, which I love. They are super easy to ship, and I've got a section about how to do that coming up at the end of the course. And this is one of those overlooked items because it's, people again are focused on the handbags, the expensive shoes, or the stuff in the home department, the home decor items, or the glassware, or the jewelry. And I've noticed that glasses are overlooked in thrift stores. I don't know of another person who mentors eBay sellers talking about this or having a course about it, which is why I wanted to do this, because it's just not being talked about. Now, more reasons to sell them. People who have never worn them are intimidated by this niche. And if you are an eyeglass wearer, you know that there's numbers on them. There's different terminology about eyeglasses that if you've never had to wear them, you just don't know. And so that keeps people away really from any niche. So definitely here. And like this picture here, this big box of glasses, to the untrained eye, this looks like a big mess. But people who understand this niche, it looks like money. And there's probably hundreds of pairs of glasses in this one box. Sometimes you'll see it just like this at thrift stores, and it may take you a while to go through them all, but this looks like money to me now that I understand it. So let's take a quick look at the eyeglasses market on eBay, just so you'll have an idea of what's available and what's selling through. So if we look at listings that have the keywords eyeglasses frames in the title, there are 194,000 in used condition. Then if we look at sold, there's almost 30,000. So definitely way more than are selling through, but still an opportunity, because eyeglasses frames are kind of like shoes. They have to be the right size for the person's face, the right style, the right color. Lots of factors about the item that could be perfect for somebody. So you can look at this as an opportunity, because you may have the exact thing in the right color, size, and style that somebody wants, which makes me wonder if that's why this person wanted those frames overnighted. You may have the perfect thing for somebody at any given moment, and you may be the only one that has them. So just keep that in mind. There is a lot of opportunity in this niche. Okay, so that's the end of the first video. Let's move on to the next one.